So Max Pacioretty, yesterday, Craig Berube asked about Pacioretty. Nobody's seen or heard from this guy in weeks, dating back to, I guess, the trade deadline. But Berube said he is pretty confident Pacioretty will play in the playoffs. I'm going to tell you right now, Pacioretty will play in the playoffs. We've been consistent in saying that on this show for a month. But where do you think Max Pacioretty fits in this lineup, though?
I think on the fourth line, honestly. I
Yeah?
think down in the lineup, I think he's going to be a banger. He's going to be like that. Maybe you start to really use him on that like identity line. You know, we talk about how successful those lines have been on certain teams where you can have a line that's going to go out and the puck is kind of irrelevant to them, right? They're going to go in, finish checks, make it hard on other teams. And I think that's going to be important as we look at these matchups that they're going to face, right? You know, especially with what Florida's going to bring to the table. When we talk about the potential of Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk, you know, you need guys like Max Pacioretty. And I think he's going to embrace that role. And I think early in the year, he was very physical. So him being out for as long as he has is worrisome in a sense, Nick, for me. But I also believe that they're being strategic with this, right? And I think we're seeing this for a lot of teams now. I know we don't necessarily do load management outside of goalies, but I think teams now, if you get a little bit of a green light to rest a guy and, you know, you can stay status quo where you are in the playoffs and you're not really, you know, fighting to get in, give him that extra rest because every healthy body you need down the stretch. And there's no really catching up once playoffs come.
My only wonder is he the type of guy that you can just insert in your lineup game one? Like, he hasn't played in a long time. Granted, when he has been in the lineup, I think he has, to a degree, been pretty effective, and he brings something this team doesn't have a lot of, and that's a physical nature. I think that's the big story with Pacioretty this season. Not really the finishing abilities from earlier on in his career, but how physical he's been. Can you just pop him in that lineup in game one? You comfortable with that?
Like, I can't say I'm necessarily comfortable with it. I think he has a short leash. I'd like to see him beforehand just to get up to speed because you'll hear every guy talk about it. I went through it. It's really hard to recreate game-like mentality, right? That physicalness. And everybody talks about that when they're training come back as a player, right? For goalies, for me, it was traffic, right? Like the timing wasn't bad because I'd see so many shots and battling. What I noticed is when I was getting the net is the traffic, right? It's hard to recreate like guys taking one-timers and tips and blocks in practice, where for players, they always talk about getting their cardio, getting their legs. But then when you add in that physical play, there's nothing like getting hit along the boards consistently hard. You know, you can try to recreate that. So I think there is adjustment for that. But erring on the side of Max Pacioretty being a veteran and having experience and having it between his ears and the maturity to jump right in, I feel more confident him doing that than I would say like someone like a Bobby McMahon or someone younger who doesn't really have a ton of experience. Maybe the moment might get a little big for him, but I think Max is good enough between the ears to jump in.
And I think people will laugh, but like they got Max Pacioretty for the playoffs.
Oh, 100%.
Not even that you would laugh, but he's a guy that you want playing in the playoffs. That's why you sign him way back when, right?
100%, right? I think there is that added grit, right? If we look back on these series that they're going to get into and the way that it's reffed and the way that it's played, you need guys that are sandpaper out there, right? Even we look at Scott Lawton. Yes, we've been quick to judge him. I know he got off the schneid last night, but with that being said, these are guys that are going to be judged by what they do in the playoffs and how they can bring teams into the mud with them and make it hard on teams. And I think that's going to be important in a 7-game series because it's not just a 1-game showdown, right? You're trying to wear teams down and beat them when it matters.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.